Hi, and welcome to THORsday Comics. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. And I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. Yesterday, I did a signing at New Dimension Comics for Jack Kirby and I Am Stan. Next week, Saturday, September 23rd, I'll be doing a signing at Phantom of the Attic Comics Oakland in Pittsburgh. And I should also have copies of Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Star and the Solar Legion from Image Comics on hand. I hope to see you there. Journey into Mystery with The Mighty Thor, number 123, While a Universe Trembles. We have Thor and then some more cast members gloating and glowering. We pick up where we left off in the previous issue with Thor and this news reporter, Harris Hobbs, who has taken a picture of Thor changing from Don Blake to Thor. He has all the evidence he needs to go public with the story of Thor's secret identity, but makes a deal with Thor to stay silent in exchange for Thor giving him a tour of Asgard. Fantasy to dazzle thy senses, written by Stan Lee. Drama to quicken thy pulse, illustrated by Jack Kirby. Beauty to nourish thine eyes, embellished by Vince Colletta. Balloons to compound thy confusion, lettered by Artie Simic. And as always, Jack Kirby is more than just the illustrator of this comic. He's also its co-writer, co-author. So I really like this sequence. You could probably make a pretty cool animated GIF of it, where Thor swings his hammer, creates a vortex that goes up like a curtain, and then comes back down. And when it comes back down, Harris Hobbs is awestruck by the sight before him, which is mighty Asgard. And it's kind of cool. We've seen Asgard a number of times in this series. We've even had a couple kind of, breathtaking vistas like this one. But it feels a little bit fresh seeing it through the eyes of a mortal for the first time. Thor strides through, but the bridge isn't guarded by Heimdall. What's going on? It turns out that Loki and the Absorbing Man have been rampaging through Asgard. Thor's having none of it, and at the moment, the Absorbing Man is in the middle of an intense battle with Odin. But now, the Absorbing Man has absorbed some of Odin's power cosmic, so it's getting pretty epic. Now he's absorbed some vortex, and then we cut back to Earth. At this point, it is necessary to interrupt our saga in order to present a new, equally startling chain of events. Events which shall soon have a vital, fantastic bearing upon the life of Thor. And so we turn our attention to an Asian jungle where we find, until we have slain their witch doctor, our rule over the local tribe will never be complete. And so hiding out is this super cool looking guy in a mask. And out of the sky falls that Norn stone that Thor dropped a few months ago. He dropped it, a few issues ago. I'd like to see the pages and see Kirby's margin notes, because it seems to me as simple as, Thor's flying by and he drops the stone. If you remember, it seems like he dropped the stone when he was not far from Pittsburgh. Again, it is possible that between the panels, he might have traveled all the way back to Vietnam and dropped it, but it would seem logical to me that this is just, some sort of, we're seeing something that happened a little while back, Thor dropping the stone as he flies by. But, it's been a while. These stories tend to take place in the eternal present. There's usually not a lot of flashbacks at this point in sort of the Marvel formula. But for whatever reason, these sort of contradictions are involved. So Stan has an explanation. The enchanted stone, which can never remain for long in any one place, but levitates itself at random, as it has just now done, traveling thousands of Earth miles in one single mystic journey. So that's sort of what I think of as the after-the-fact explanation to sort of smooth out the fact that it seemed like he dropped it outside of Pittsburgh in the Appalachians. It would be easy, though, for Kirby to forget and think like, oh, yeah, Thor must have dropped it when he was in Vietnam. But I don't know. Maybe there's some other explanation, but I'd love to see the original artboard. In any case, I thought that was worth noting. So he takes this Norn stone, it has an effect on him, makes him into, like a super being, and they're shooting at him, and it can do nothing to him. He has, thanks to the Norn stone, he has the power of a god. So that's sort of setting up the next plot line that's going to develop in the next issue. Now we cut back to the matter at hand. Here's Odin still facing off with the Absorbing Man. Thor is sort of caught in a crush in the wall trying to get to them. The Absorbing Man touches the wall, and now he is absorbing just the power of Asgard itself and becomes this Asgardian giant. Now it's presented here in sort of a possible flash forward. Notice his skirt doesn't look too different from sort of the design flourishes on Galactus. But he's absorbing Asgard and becoming, sort of a living human embodiment of Asgard. Now, it's shown as sort of a possible future outcome, which is something we see in, Marvel Comics of this era, where it's like, if this guy's not stopped, this is what's going to happen. He's going to turn into a living Asgard. But I feel like that was, maybe not exactly the best move, because I think Kirby's intent was not that this is some future possible thing, but that it's happening right now, which is kind of reinforced by the view of this, boot, this leg of the Absorbing Man, that he has in the present moment absorbed the power of Asgard and become, a giant with all sorts of Asgard decorative flourishes all over him. And now Loki reveals himself. Finish the deed, mortal. Even in defeat, Odin is not one to trifle with. So, he's revealing his intention. Odin lets him have the scepter. Here it is. Only the strongest may possess the supreme scepter. Let it now be mine. Odin hands it over willingly. Thor is not happy about this. He's having none of it. The wisdom of Odin is not to be questioned. And so he hands it to Loki. Loki is triumphant. It seems like he's sort of telling everyone to bow to him, and probably, mostly, Thor and Odin. But in the dialogue, again, this would be an interesting thing to see the original art. In the dialogue here, he says he's sort of telling the Absorbing Man to grovel before him. The Absorbing Man doesn't like this, so now they have a tug of war with the scepter. Another moment's patience, valiant one. The play is not yet ended. So this is what Odin imagined something like this might happen. That if he handed over the scepter, these two guys would trip over each other trying to get it and eliminate each other. And now the tug of war is going. The Absorbing Man has turned into a living embodiment of this scepter, and now their hands are glued to it, mystically glued to it. Odin uses his power over the scepter to start it spinning and send it off into celestial space, past flaming meteoroids, and then, to the iciest depths of space, where these two will be imprisoned, hopefully forever. Hail Odin. This guy wakes up. Harris Hobbs. Seems like he got a bonk on the head in all the excitement. What? What happened? It's not explained in the verbiage here, but maybe Kirby's intent with the visuals was that this guy might, have amnesia now. He might have gotten knocked out and kind of forgotten why he was there, forgotten that Thor is Don Blake. Who knows? But in any event, in all the excitement, his camera got smashed. And so, the picture he took of Thor is destroyed, and he can't take any more pictures of Asgard. He goes back home with nothing. But if I only had some pictures to show, even rough sketches, maybe somebody would believe. Your labors would be for naught, mortal. All these long centuries men have told of Asgard. Stories have been written, songs have been sung, and still mankind calls it legend. And now we cut back to Earth, and there's sort of this King Kong kind of setup where you have this giant wooden door that's being bolted shut, but through it smashes this guy. Setting up another, pretty cool villain from left field. A really nice element of the sort of ongoing soap opera of Thor and of Marvel Comics of this era. One threat is vanquished, a new one develops where you least expect it. And so this guy names himself the Demon, a name that Jack Kirby would use again over at DC. Now these guys are back at Earth. Thor grants this guy forgetfulness, gives him the sort of, Men in Black mind wipe. There's probably nothing to forget. How did I know you didn't trick me? How do I know I even went to Asgard? Some nights in your sleep, when you think your dreams are merely dreams, there will be some small part of you that knows. Pretty deep stuff. Kind of a cool note to end on. The end. Now Tales of Asgard continues. Odin, this beautiful splash page, Odin gets a vision of Ragnarok in the skies. Even my bravest followers flinch at the awesome sight, for they believe that it surely predicts the beginning of the end. But the vision passes. The shadows have faded for now. But what of Thor on his great journey? And, Thor and his crew are having a really hard time. The last we saw in the previous issue, there's Balder up on the ship's prow, and they're heading into the mouths of the dragon, this sort of natural formation that looks like a dragon. Maybe it used to be a dragon that got turned to stone. Maybe it's still living in some form, but it's dangerous in any case. And Thor's, trying to make a last-ditch effort, rally the troops. Balder does what he went up there to do. He blows this tremendous horn. And as the seemingly doomed ship approaches the dragon's jaws, only the strange notes from Balder's horn can be heard over the shrieking of the cataclysmic storm. And then, just as the monstrous stone jaws seem ready to clamp down upon the helpless vessel, Balder gives one final ear-piercing, nerve-shattering blast. A blast which causes the descending jaws to tremble, quiver, and then violently explode, hurtling stone meteors to the farthest ends of the universe. The ship is saved. Balder has vanquished the Utgard dragon. Next, a new and awesome race will be met by the Argonauts. And you, Stan and Jack, have spoken. And that's that. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics, now in paperback. I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, now in hardcover and softcover. And I just did a signing last night at New Dimension Comics, and next Saturday, September 23rd, I'll be doing a signing at Phantom of the Attic Comics Oakland in Pittsburgh. There will probably also be copies of Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, starring Adam Starr and the Solar Legion from Image Comics. I'll see you next THORsday.